So up next, we're going to catch up with an expat in Bologna. She's working as an English teacher now and originally came here as a student, fell in love and stayed, which is basically the story about all the expat ladies in Bologna, myself included. I hope that's not a generalization. So we're speaking to Saritaagerman up next, and she's going to explain a bit to us about the work she's doing. Also, she has a very fun interactive blog, very informative. I find that she's quite opinionated, and this is a good thing, of course. She's going to give us some of her thoughts and share a bit of her experience living right here in Bologna with us. So that's up next.
To the streets, cause I'm willing and I'm able. Categorize me, I defy every label. And while you selling dope, we gon' keep selling hope. We rising up now, you gotta deal, you gotta cope. Will you be electric chic, electric ladies, will you sleep? Or will you preach?
Joining me on the line this morning is Saritaagerman, and she's resident right here in Bologna. And Sarita has quite an interesting blog, and this is actually where I came across her information. Sarita, would you call yourself a bit of an activist for Islamic culture, Islamic rights?
I wouldn't call myself an activist specifically for Islamic things. I'm more of an interfaith activist in that respect, that I think it's very important that as a community, increasingly multicultural community, that we can all speak together with respect and with an open mind, not necessarily trying to promote your own particular faith-based ideas, but being able to speak together.
And what actually brought you to Bologna? Because I think you have quite an interesting story about how you ended up here, what made you come back and actually come and stay here.
Yes. Well, I came to Bologna originally as an Erasmus student, and I spent, I think it was 10 months here. And then I had to leave because I had to go and finish my degree. But I came back because I'd quite stereotypically met a man while I was here, and I wanted to come back to be with him. And then I decided to find a job, and I was really attracted to the idea of teaching English because my degree had been in English as well. And so I decided to follow that inclination and found a job here. So now I work for a private school teaching English.
Okay. And I'm South African, and we're as intercultural as you can get. And then you sort of come to a more monogamous type of society like we have here in Italy. What do you think the biggest sort of challenges are in terms of just being of a different background, a different understanding, practicing a different faith? I mean, for example, back home, every effort is taken, and it's a natural thing to walk into a restaurant or whatever, and you'd have an option of a kosher menu, a halal menu, and it's something that I haven't really seen here, and I don't really think there's a clear understanding of that type of integration yet. What type of things do you think will make it easier for people from outside, specifically people who are practicing different faiths or different beliefs, to integrate more freely and easily in a society like this?
I think the most important thing is being able to talk with each other and to communicate with each other. So for that reason, I think it's really important to learn the language of the country you're in, not to forget the language that you speak, your mother language, but in order to communicate with the people in the local community, I think it's very important to speak that language. That was one of the reasons why when I was interviewed on television, I wanted to speak in Italian. Even though my Italian is really bad, I wanted to do that to show that I want to be able to communicate with Italians. Because I think if you can share your own individual story, you stop being a stereotype. So if I speak about my story, hopefully people don't see me just as a Muslim woman or just as a teacher or just as someone from England, but as a person. And I think if you can relate to someone on an individual level, it helps to break down barriers.
No, excellent.
Whether they're cultural or religious.
Got you. I actually watched your interview, and I thought it was quite inspiring. I mean, bravo to you. You know, it takes a lot to sort of put yourself out there. So well done with
terrifying.
that. But I also love the blog. And can you give us an idea of just the type of topics that you touch on, just so our listeners can have an idea of, you know, what you're speaking about and where you're coming from?
Yes, well, my blog is called A Hodgepodge Hijabi in Italy, and really I talk about three main topics. The first is interfaith, which I mentioned before, teaching, because I teach English, and then the other one is just being an expat in Italy. And they're all very different things. And I remember at first when I created the blog, I thought, well, this is so strange. No one's going to read this because I speak about so many different topics. But then I started to think about it, and I realized that actually they are united in a way, because for all of them, the important aspect is communication. Whether I'm teaching someone to speak English, or I'm trying to understand Italian myself, or in terms of interfaith dialogue, where you're trying to bring together diverse people, so we all have the same ideas or we all agree, because I don't think that's important. What's important is to be able to communicate in a way where you can get along despite having incredibly different views. Thank you so much.
There you have it. That was the author of the blog, A Hodgepodge Hijab in Italy, Miss Saritaagerman. Maybe you can check out her blog. Let us know what you think. I mean, there's lots of articles to catch up on there. She's got everything covered. So happy that you joined us this morning. And right now you're listening to the sounds of MGMT with Electric Feel.